Okay, so when exactly did middle class just become pure survival mode? I'm talking like the hunter gatherer stage of humanity. Because think about it like this, just one mistake, one minute mistake away from sleeping under a bridge.
Can someone please tell me that things are going to get better for the economy, for the world? Just someone please tell me that things are going to get better, bro, because I work from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., 2 jobs, and I'm just sitting on my lunch on my second job, and dude, I just can't do this shit anymore. I told myself I would never work a second job again earlier this year, but bills are bills. You got to do what you got to do, but bro, I can't keep doing this shit. I'm tired, like everyone else.
You do everything you were taught to do. You get the degree, you work the overtime, you pay your taxes, and you skip the luxuries. But somehow you still end up staring at a bank account that hits 0 3 days after payday. We are watching the middle class get pushed from living into pure primal survival mode. It doesn't matter if you make 40,000 a year or well into the six figures, the math just isn't mathing anymore. When basic necessities like heating your home, buying a week's worth of food, and paying for decent health insurance become crushing financial burdens, we aren't just dealing with a temporary bout of inflation. We are watching the quiet collapse of the American social contract.
I spent about an hour talking to my grandmother last night. She's 90 years old, and she's actually considering selling her home and her property because that's the country we live in right now. She's 90 years old, and she has to sell everything that she's ever earned. That's the country we live in right now. My grandfather was retired from the military. She has her Social Security. They both worked their whole lives, and she can't afford to live anymore. 90 years old. Put money away, did all the things. And now she has to be put in a position where she has to sell her home.
I feel like if the price of shit don't go down, I'm about to start stealing again. I'm good. I said I was leaving that shit in 2022, but look, if y'all gonna keep making deodorant $15 for a stick, I'm gonna just have to start sticking shit in my purse again. I don't care, because I can't go without deodorant, and y'all know y'all taxing for that shit. Like, come on now, something gotta give. Everything is just too expensive for me. Every single thing. Like, it's to the point I be rationing out deodorant. I'm only doing 2 swipes a day because I can't afford to do 3 or 4 swipes back and forth because I'm gonna run out of deodorant too fast. Toothpaste too. And the thing is, you can find cheap shit, but it ain't gonna hold you. I'm not about to buy no cheap ass deodorant and be musty as all day. And I'm not about to buy no cheap ass toilet tissue and that shit break while I'm ass. And I'm not about to buy no cheap ass toothpaste and breath be stinking after I done brush my teeth. Like, y'all gonna have to give. Like, and then it's like, if you do buy quality shit, it got poison in it, and the stuff that don't have the poison in it is too damn expensive for anybody to afford. Like, this shit is just beyond me. Like, I'm at the point, I'm either about to start stealing shit again, or I'm gonna have to start making my own shit. Y'all, like, the economy gonna have to decide at this point.
If anyone out there is wondering how Americans are doing poorly, we are doing poorly. Yesterday, I woke up to an email from my landlord saying, hey, I'm raising your rent. Why? No reason. We already pay all of the utilities ourselves. That is not included in the rent. So we pay for electricity, and we pay for water, and we pay for natural gas to heat our home. And that bill in particular has skyrocketed this year. Every single month this winter, it was over $600. And we do not turn the heat on. We just turn it so that we can survive. We do not turn it above like 60. So we're freezing in the house all winter. Oh, and also I woke up this morning to an email from my health insurance being like, thanks for your payment. It was deducted automatically, except this time the payment was $400 more than it was last month. Sorry? What's going on? So I called the health insurance company and I was like, why did this happen? And they said, oh, well, the tax premium expired. And I said, tell me why that happened. Is that because of federal budget cuts? Is that because of the New York State budget? Where did that come from? And they said, we don't know. You have to call the New York State Department of Health.
There is literally no worse feeling than getting paid, paying your bills, and not having anything left over. Which then leaves you no other choice but to use credit cards, which causes more debt and more financial stress. It makes your accounts go negative, which means the next time you get paid, you're even further behind. It's literally ridiculous.
I'm scrolling through my FYP this morning getting ready for work, and every other video I see is people struggling. It's not people celebrating the new gifts that they bought their family, or talking about the vacations they're going on, or talking about their new promotion at work and how they're going to spend their money. People aren't talking about stuff like that. People are talking about how they can't afford rent this month, how they can't afford groceries, and how they can't afford the car payments, and how they can't afford the mortgage and insurance. Nobody's talking about how happy and successful they are anymore. Everyone's talking about how hard they are struggling and how they are having to rob Peter to pay Paul and sell this and trade that just to stay above water. Not to be successful or to live the American dream, but just to survive. Because it isn't the American dream anymore, it's the American survival. Because people aren't thriving anymore. People are surviving. People can't afford groceries. People can't afford rent. People can't afford insurance. People can't afford anything. People aren't happy anymore. The country is depressed. And we're depressed because we can't afford our bills. We can't take our family anywhere nice. We're not getting anywhere. We're going backwards. And everyone that we elect, everyone that we put in power just makes it worse on us. And nobody really cares about us. It's like, darn, we did our part. We're doing what we're supposed to do. We pay our taxes. We don't break the law. We do what we're supposed to do. We go to work every day. We keep everything going. And yet, the people we put in charge and send our money to squanders every penny. And then after they spend all of our money and lose all their money, they hold their hand out going, well, we did our best. We need that money. You better pay it or you go to jail. This is one giant scam. And I don't want to play anymore.
I just saw a woman at the grocery store go through the self-checkout, ring up about $100 worth of groceries, which is probably like 6 items, and then just leave. Just bagged them up and left. Didn't pay. I didn't know you could do that.
I am so sick of how expensive it is to just live. Before I left work, I had to make sure I bought tickets to my kids' musical for school. And I'm going both nights, and then my parents and my husband's parents are going one night, and then we're going as a family one night. So I just paid for those tickets. For all those tickets all together, it was like $62 or something like that, 62. And then I left work. I got my kids to school. I had to get gas. I was on E. My gas light was on. I had busy like for the rest of the evening after I wake up after sleeping. So I was like, let me just do it. It just cost $78 to fill my tank. I do have a mid-size SUV. I have a Chevy Traverse. But literally before this day has even started, I have now spent $140. How the freak do you sustain life anymore? I don't know. It's so frustrating how expensive everything is. It's like every time you turn around, there's like something else to pay for, and I know that's being an adult, and I know that's life. But it's so frustrating. $78 to fill my tank. That's a record. That's the most it's ever cost me to fill my tank since I've gotten this car. I'm unwell.
The conversations that I've been having with Gen X men lately are honestly terrifying. I don't think most people understand how many of us are just quietly breaking. And I'm being completely serious. Behind the scenes, through emails, phone calls, comments, messages, random ways, I'm talking to men every single week who are barely hanging on. And the crazy part, most people around them, they really don't even know, because we're very good at pretending, lying, still go to work, still smiling, still joke around, still pay your bills, still get it done. But meanwhile, inside, they're collapsing. I talked to men who said to me, I haven't felt peace in years. They drink every night just to shut the voices off in their head.
I want to show you guys something that really helps illustrate just how out of control living in America is right now. I know so many people who are making more money than they could imagine, making more money than anybody else in their family has ever made, and still feels like they are struggling to get by. I really need people to say and understand how fake the rhetoric that we are using around like salary and purchasing power is. If you were somebody in 1991 in July 1991. That was the year and the month that I was born. If you were making $150,000 a year, if you had that purchasing power, right? In January of 2026, you would need to make almost $400,000 to have the equivalent purchasing power. And I pulled this up from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. They have a calculator where you can calculate changes in CPI over time, right? And CPI is the Consumer Price Index. And that is the way that the government attracts things like changes in rent, groceries, medical bills, household items, right? It's not a static thing. They are taking into account what it takes to live a certain life. So somebody that was making $150,000 in 1991, you would have to make almost $400,000 in 2026.
Someone please explain to me why my boss is always so confused when I ask for a raise because I'm doing the job of 3 people when I was originally hired to do the job of 1. Why is that so confusing?
Hey, look, so I was having a conversation with my maintenance man, right? And we was pretty much talking about, because I asked him, I'm like, bro, why is there so many people moving out? And he's like, bro, everybody getting kicked out. I'm like, damn, why? He's like, bro, ain't nobody paying their rent. And it made me think, like, bro, this economy is getting wicked. It's wicked out here. Like, it's spooky. Like, prices is going up. Like, apartments, 1-bedroom apartments, shoot, like $1,600, $1,700. Especially, like, I'm in a nice area, so, like, apartment, like, $1,600, $1,700. I'm like, so it could be tough on people, especially, like, if you working paycheck to paycheck, right, and you got kids and you're not making a decent amount of money, it can be really tough on people. And on top of that, we was talking, and he was saying, like, he knew someone that makes 6 figures, and he still working paycheck to paycheck. So when he said that, I'm like, hold on now. He making 6 figures, and he still working paycheck to paycheck? I'm like, all right, now, it's got to, like, he got to be living above his means, because ain't no way you telling me he making 6 figures, and he living paycheck to paycheck. But then again, like, you never know someone's situation. But I don't know. It's just crazy that you making 6 figures and you working paycheck to paycheck. Y'all let me know, for real.
I was having this discussion with somebody in the gym, and they were saying, why do you think Americans are accepting, like, what's going on currently? And I said, I'll be honest with you, man. It's like somebody being in an abusive relationship, right? Most people that are in an abusive relationship, they know that they're in an abusive relationship, but they won't leave. For whatever reason, they'll stay in that abusive relationship. They'll continue to get abused. And I said, if you think about Americans, they're just used to being abused. It is the norm. It is like this long relationship that has always been the norm. It's always been this way. When we see a little change, it's like a person getting better, but then they go back to their old ways. And it's almost like we think, like, well, we know what good looks like, but then the bad is really bad. And I think that's the situation we're in right now. We're like, well, we know what good looks like. We know what our top tier looks like. But when it's bad, it's bad. A lot of times when you're in an abusive relationship, you're looking at the highs. But honestly, the cons outweigh the pros. But people don't look at it like that. And I think that's the current state that we are in America right now. Right now, the cons outweigh the pros. But we're just hoping on this high. It's almost like buying a lottery ticket. It's almost like if I hit this, I'll be set. But the chances of you hitting the lottery are slim to none. And that is the best way I can explain this situation. And after I explained it that way, he said, man, I never looked at it from that point of view. I was like, dude, that's what it is. And until we, as a U.S. citizens, break out of this abusive relationship, it'll continue to happen.
So I just wanted to acknowledge how many more people are finding it unaffordable to rent or buy a home these days. Rent has tripled, food is super expensive, gas has gone up. Daycare costs the amount of rent or more, so a lot of people can't even afford childcare anymore. People have had to quit their jobs to stay home, and more people are having mental health, anxiety, depression because of these situations, and more people are having to live on the streets or in shelters because they just cannot afford to survive. And it's really unfortunate and frustrating because these families are trying to access services or trying to just get by, and the amount of money that we're being paid is not nearly enough for the cost of living. And I just see more and more people struggling, and me myself, like, I have a master's degree. I work multiple jobs to take care of myself and my son. I'm one income. I don't have somebody else to support me. So, I mean, I even feel the struggles of that, and it's just an ongoing thing. And I just really want to hear from you how things have affected you and your family, whether you're in this state or another state. I would just love to hear your story to, just advocate and collect some research to try to make a change. I know I'm only one person, but I know that there's many more people who are struggling just like me, and I would love to hear your story, and honestly just like what rent and childcare and food costs where you live.
What we are watching isn't a collection of personal financial mistakes. It is a systemic failure across the board. When a 90-year-old grandmother has to sell the home she worked her entire life for just to eat, and full-time nurses are rationing basic hygiene products, the system is fundamentally broken. We are being squeezed by corporate price gouging at the grocery store, private equity firms driving up housing costs, and insurance companies hiking premiums by $400 overnight with zero explanation. People are silently breaking down because the gap between wages and the actual cost of living has become an unbridgeable canyon. The purchasing power of the working class has been intentionally gutted, and folks are finally realizing that playing by the old rules guarantees you lose in this new economy. I want to hear from you. What is the one everyday expense that finally made you realize this economy has fundamentally changed? Drop down into the comments and tell me your story. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.